Hello, I'm Adam's Downboy, and welcome to our 7th video of our reprised D2 Kingsfall guide. Demonstrating the second platforming stroke plummeting section of the raid are my Muthaclucker clanmates Albert Aura, Alex, Dazzy, Electric Sheep, Tooks and Zone Runner. Officially this is called the Transept, but everyone we've ever run this with in D1 or D2 calls this the Wall of Dicks. You'll find out why fairly quickly, but I'm going to try and keep this video PG rated. As you enter the area, you'll see a Tolan Spark, which you should recognise from moon bounties and ascendant challenges in the Dreaming City, a sloping wall on your left with craftily shaped platforms at various heights running along its length that are booby-trapped with taken booping rifts and, let's generously call them pistons, that fire at regular intervals. Both of these can easily launch an unwary Guardian into the central void for a long fall to your death, or into the wall opposite for an instant kill. In the middle of the area, there are a few narrow columns in the big void in the middle and another wall on the right hand side. You'll need to get from one end of this long area to the other, avoiding the pistons and the booping rifts and jumping from platform to platform. You'll need to be precise with your landings. The junction with the wall is curved, so if you catch it when you land, your sideways momentum will carry you into the central void. If you do die, as we illustrate repeatedly, there are no revive tokens to worry about, and with no mechanics beyond platforming, no team wipe timer. You can be revived immediately at the last point you stood on a platform if you have a teammate near you, or self-revive after a few seconds. You may revive close to where you see your orb, or further back. Sometimes revive spawn can seem a bit random. Now, I've not found any illustrations online that help explain the Transept jumping section, so this is my best attempt after watching and screenshotting our footage. It'll hopefully make a bit more sense if you come back to look again after watching the Fireteam video. The first section, after your initial jump a long way down, isn't too difficult to work out. There's really only one route, which is pretty obvious. You jump down and along in the direction of the exit door. You'll notice as you go that there are large ribs on the route which block your view of your landing that require you to jump out and around. Initially, you'll be jumping to a wider section of platform that has 2 lights and a capture plate. There are 4 in total, so this is capture plate 1 marked on the illustration. From here, there are essentially 2 routes through. But before you decide, there's a secret chest on the far wall which you can get to by initially jumping to a narrow platform on one side of the central pillars and then using invisible platforms to parkour your way around to a small cave with the secret chest. The location of these platforms can be seen when you get close to the edge of them, if someone is standing on them, or if you pull out your ghost. You'll see their outline as the light pulse expands. The chest, as is the case with all raid secret chests, will drop gear that you've already obtained from regular encounter chests, plus any raid mods that you've not yet dropped. The second half of the jumping section is a little more complicated, involving a little jumping back and forth as you make your way up to the exit. From the cave, you can use a set of invisible platforms to get about halfway out across into the central void. The route most people, basically everyone as Sheep points out in the video, takes is a long jump across to a spiny hemispherical mass with a few spikes pointing out of it. This path is generally preferred as it's shorter and avoids the need for combat. Warlocks can do this in a single floof, but Hunters and Titans might want to put on their jumping boots to make it a little easier. If you don't, you can still make the jump if you aim to land on one of the spikes first. From the landing area, you can either jump down to the right and then platform back and forth until you get to a platform that's just to the left and below the level of the exit platform. Just be careful of the final boop rift, which can launch you out just before you're about to land. Alternatively, you can jump up from the spiny landing area onto a short section of pipe and then across and over a piston. This final piston has a sensor rather than a timer, so don't walk in front of it. Again, you can jump up onto a pipe above it and then over the top before finally jumping down onto the exit platform. The other way, in keeping with the mechanics of the rest of the raid, uses the platform with the first capture plate that you started up to the secret chest from as a starting point. There are invisible platforms that lead from here to the right side wall to another wider lit platform with a second capture plate and a few spawning adds. Standing on a capture plate for a few seconds forces the invisible platforms to appear and stabilise, which makes the void easier to traverse as you're not having to stop and take out your ghost constantly. This second capture plate platform leads via more invisible floating platforms to a third capture plate and a few more adds. Again, standing on the capture plate makes the invisible floating platforms appear and then stabilises them. There's another set of invisible platforms that leads back across the void from the third to the fourth capture plate at the far end of the left wall. From the fourth capture plate platform, shown on the illustration on the right hand side, you can jump back towards the entrance door and up as shown here, before you join the route that those who took the shortcut used to get to the exit, which will open when all of the fire team is near. Nowadays, it's rare for a fire team to use this route to navigate from one end of the transept to the other. We all use the shortcut, but I asked my fire team to demonstrate it, and thankfully 3 of them read my notes. So if you do ever need the catalyst for the Touch of Malice exotic scout rifle, then knowing the legit route is useful, as you'll need to activate all 4 capture plates as part of the quest. After you're done with the transept, there's a short vertical jumping section in a red lit cylindrical chamber, which I've also included in the video. Essentially, this just involves jumping between pillars on the outer wall and pillars or platforms on the inner column until you get to the top and a large door to the final encounter arena. You shouldn't die if you fall, so just take your time and make sure to land your jump. As with all platforming sections, you'll just need to learn the route and become familiar with it, and the best way to learn is to do. Jumping aids are really useful in your loadout here. Warlocks could be using the Solar Daybreak Super, using both Icarus Dash and Heat Rises with any jump. Titans can use Lion Rampant Boots with Strafe or High Jump and Burning Maul Solar Super. You'll see both Sheep and Zone use their super this way in the video, or Arc Thunder Crash. Hunters can use Stompies with Triple Jump, and the Void Mobius Quiver can help extend a jump further if you need to. All of these are useful for distance jumps and also for recovering after a boop or a missed landing. If you stick to the shortcut, there's no combat to worry about. Swords can be an option for recovery if you do slightly misjudge a landing or a rift boops you off, and for putting you into a third-person view for better awareness of your surroundings. Swords with the Eager Edge trait can get you across the shortcut jump in one go. Even if you are going the legit route, you should be able to primary down adds with the loadout you have in hand from Golgoroth. Now, I debated whether to show just one perspective, but in the end I'm showing the full fire team's perspectives as they all demonstrate the different jumps, use of abilities and supers. I'd suggest picking one Guardian's perspective and following that through to the end. What this does illustrate is that with the narrow platforms and everyone speedrunning, your fellow Guardians can be as much of a hazard as a random boop rift. Initially, everyone makes their way to the secret chest room by jumping down and along as far as the first capture plate. You'll see both Zone and Sheep get into difficulty and using the light attack from the Burning Maul Solar Super to recover, and Alex demonstrating gravity.
Ow.
Pretty, you can do that on the floor, so shoot.
The fire team makes its way to the chest cave on the right wall, using the central pillar and the invisible platforms. You'll also see the use of the ghost to reveal the location of the invisible floating platforms along the way.
Yeah, we have to show that. No skipping. You know it. Yeah, so.
Sheep, Tooks and Alex use the shortcut from the secret chest room. while Dazzy, Zone and Alba follow the director's instructions to show the legit way to the exit door, stepping on capture plates to stabilise the platforms as they go. Between the second and third capture plate, Tukes gets a good view of just how much of a jammy git Zone is, with his slightly unintended route from the third to the fourth capture plate platform.
Can a hunter do this job?
Yeah. Oh, should we not be doing it properly?
Well,
Tukes is not.
one person needs to show the shortcut. I can always come back round.
To be fair, it's an easier way to go through, so I think you would want to show the faster, easier way. Rather than, like, what's the advantage of taking the proper way, except that you're going to die more?
It's the intended route.
You don't know if it's the intended route.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll watch you three go.
Now I can show you how to do the route from a vantage point. And almost out.
Just in case.
Three.
Alex gave me a heart attack. I'm a French horn, I can't take that much. It's too stressful.
It wouldn't be a raid if we didn't do these things.
That is true.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you don't have a sword.
I'll be there in 3 to 5 business days.
Glad to know I'm not the only one who sucks at this bit, anyway.
Oh, it's every time I'm on Warlock. I like to take the shortcut when I'm on Warlock,
Why didn't you take the shortcut this time?
because I thought we were showing the plates.
Now, I think we should have div for this part.
Probably.
Yeah.
After the Transept, don't forget the short vertical jumping puzzle, so don't unequip your jumping aids quite yet. The fire team gets to the top by jumping between pillars around the outer wall and the central column, and then waits by the door.
Engineers and div.
I can be div.
It's always still rockets. Still fine.
Yours is just so much faster.
Is it?
Yeah.
I will volunteer to be.
You're not div sheep.
I'm sorry, what?
You're not div sheep.
That's fine.
You can be div if you want, sheep.
No, I'm not going to insist. If you want to be div, you div.
You will miss less linear shots.
Yes.
Or maybe I should div.
Just in case.
You sure?
No, I'm kidding. You can div.
We'll leave the fire team there while Tukes looks up in dim to try and remember where he left his divinity. Will he end up using it? Maybe not much of a cliffhanger, but we'll answer that in our next episode. That's the second King's Fall jumping section finished, which has taken you to the doors behind which lie the final 2 encounters that both take place in the same arena called Threshold. You're within touching distance of the end of the raid now. The next video will show the first of these encounters with Oryx's daughters. Until then, on behalf of me and my fellow Cluckers, thank you for watching, we hope that's helped you, and may all your drops be God rolls.